Hi and welcome to the Sunday Lunch Project Manager podcast for Sunday the 6th of February 2022. This is your host Nigel Creaser, and today we've got the second part of my interview with Andy Rao and Joel Stone, the head honchos from Codebreak. Again this week we are sponsored by Tamplo. Tamplo turns meetings into action plans, and we all want better meetings, don't we? How many of us spend too much time in meetings, and how many spend too much time in meetings that just are no good, and we think we shouldn't be there? I heard a story that Elon Musk said that people should leave their meetings after 10 minutes in his organisations if the meetings, they don't need to be there or don't understand why they're there. But what happens if you need that person there? It's just that they didn't know they needed to be there. Well, Tamplo can help. With their meeting structures within their cloud-based service, you can create structure for meetings and meaning for meetings, with a clear agenda, setting meeting parameters to stick to a plan. Shared it, and how often do you get that situation where you have someone like me maybe who takes off down a rabbit hole? Well, that's it. You can use this tool to keep to that. The shared agenda you can create allows those rabbit holes to be identified early and become fully prepared, and have all the invitees add information into those agendas where they need things to be talked about, so no surprises. You can lead the meeting through using Tamplo and each item and record the information or decisions or actions live in Tamplo and also through Microsoft Teams. You can add comments, decisions and assign tasks as you're doing it. None of this, right, looking through your notebook and deciding what was it that someone said, who said they'd do that. You're doing it there and it's going to drop into their dashboard. Meetings are also minutes sent to all invitees so they know it's all there, but you're not having to sit back and create those meetings later on. And they're available for everyone to look back over time. Ideal for using recurrent meetings where you want to see all of those decisions that step through, but you don't want to look through 100 different Word documents that are ordered in a weird SharePoint site in a weird order because someone saved the document as a different name. The meetings become shorter and more enjoyable, or as enjoyable as a meeting can be. It allows you to stick to an agenda and be more collaborative. And no one leaves a meeting not knowing what they should be doing or who's doing it, because it's all there in Tamplo. So your meetings are better. But then, have we all been to meetings that have been brilliant and superb? I've been to some. They've been really good. But then nothing happens after those meetings. All of the tasks that were allocated, all the things weren't chased up, weren't chased down in it, and all of it drifts. That's where Tamplo can help again. The project and task management and follow-up capabilities of the tool provide a clear dashboard with overview of scheduled tasks, alerts on tasks, and overview of team's progress, so you can track what's going on and I can track what I need to do. You can create your own daily plan of tasks that you want to work on or check in on with the others. Easy task assignment, and then adding deadlines and degree of importance, who the owner is, and followers. You can follow them. Clear descriptions, and you can upload documents too. So it's all in one place. Easy project management with dedicated dashboard, lists of tasks, and what people are working on, so you can see in one place as a PM what people are doing. It's a collaborative tool with all documents uploaded in one place with stress-free feedback, and you manage a validation of status and comments. You can assign tasks to individuals or to teams. So again, if you've got those self-managing teams, that can be done without you being, it can be clear that team A has that, they can put it on their backlog maybe. So no task is left undone, and the tracking is transparent to everyone. There's more efficiency, more motivation, and change status is clear once tasks are completed. It gives a clear actions plan, more structure, and hopefully more projects completed on time. And as PMs, if we can complete projects on time and more efficiency, don't we want to do it? The product's easy, intuitive, it gets your work done with peace of mind and more efficiency and more collaboration. So if you want to have a look, I have a URL you can pop along to called tinyurl.com/Nigel Creaser Tamplo. That's Nigel Creaser Tamplo, all one word, and it's Tamplo. If you don't know how to spell Nigel Creaser, it's Creaser. and I get a little kickback if you decide to sign up for the full service or one of the subscribed values. But there's a trial. You get a 14-day trial, I think it is, and to try it out and see. Well, actually, it's a full month trial, so you can get a month's worth of being more productive and trying this out with you and your team. So get on it, have a go at it, and enjoy better meetings and better to follow with Templo. So what's been going on with me in the last couple of weeks? Well, I suppose the biggest thing really is that we have COVID in the house. We spent a couple of weeks avoiding it. Months, years, nearly a couple of years avoiding it. Unfortunately, my little one's school seems to have a bit of an outbreak. That's just a cough and frog in her throat rather than anything else. And fortunately, I have so far avoided touching every piece of wood near me. My wife and daughter, and youngest daughter, both have it, and myself and the eldest are kind of trying to keep away from them, and they keep away from us. So, fingers crossed, we will avoid it. Both of them okay, like a heavy cold, really. So, if you are out there and in that same situation, you have my empathy. It's a little bit difficult with a younger child trying to just say to them you can only be in one place, so they've taken one place to be in the living room and the big telly and everything, so they're relegated to other rooms. Last week I completed my 4th week of full-time work last week, so kind of fully into the swing from a anxiety, health and depression point of view from last year. No concerns on that front at the moment. I'm following the advice, and I'm keeping my boundaries, and I'm enjoying the work I'm doing as well, which is really good. So that's a good turnaround from last year. What else has been going on? I was interviewed last night for the Project Chatter podcast. Thank you to Dale, Val and Martin for that. I really enjoyed that. I think that's coming out on Monday, so tomorrow. When this goes out, it'll be tomorrow, but if you're listening to it, it might be 7th of February anyway. I think that's coming out. We talked all things productivity and project management and things like that, so it's a really entertaining chat, and really some insightful questions from the guys. Their podcast, they have a weekly podcast with really free-form, long-form conversations similar to mine, but with specific guests every week, all around the project management and project management arena, and they've had some fabulous guests, some of the guests that we've had on this show, so check them out. You might get a different view of things there. Other things that are going on, I'm trying to rack my brain. So, well, I was thinking about it earlier on around, and part of the conversation last night, around productivity and the application of productivity, project management, and how that works. And one of the questions they asked me was how it differs between productivity for yourself as an individual and productivity for a project. And my take on it really was that essentially you have projects which are like kind of a macro productivity activity. We try to we do the kind of skills of productivity, which it's different tools you use, but you look at what are our objectives of the project, therefore setting our priorities. By setting our priorities, we understand what we're trying to do, then working out how we achieve those priorities, we hand out those tasks that are going to achieve those priorities, work out what resources we need to do them, work out what order we need to do them, hand them over to people, get those people to do them, track how quick they're doing it, if things change, tweak it, and really that does relate to when we're doing our own daily schedule. If you think every day is a project to get your objectives done for that day, and you sail through that day using our project management skills, but maybe some different tools. And I think it's they're very, very intertwined and related. And I found myself last weekend when we were looking at clearing an area of our garden, which we've left to go fallow for quite a while, moving lots of logs and trees and bricks and scrub. So it was a case of looking at it, and when you look at it as one big thing, it's kind of overwhelming. How the heck are we going to do this? But then when you focus in on it and go, right, okay, if we do that bit first, that means that frees up that bit, and that means that then we can move that there, and we can do it, and you kind of have that process flow in your brain, or just you could have drawn it out again. So, and I really do believe that our project management skills are life skills. You just may not see that you're using those skills, and sometimes it's quite useful to step back and think about it. And by doing those priority decisions, doing things in a different order, doing them in the order that will be most efficient and effective, that's all about productivity. It's about, so it all intertwines. It was an thought-provoking conversation. I hadn't really thought about it in those terms until some of the questions that we had last night. And as far as writing is concerned, I did actually jump back onto writing my next book, which was my novel. Enjoyed writing it, and then haven't jumped back onto it since, with the number of things jumping around. Needing priority and needing my attention. So I haven't been making it a priority. Same with exercise, really, because numerous different things going on. Although last weekend, 2 days in the garden, was quite a good exercise program there. So so that's it really. That's all that's knocking on. I've got quite a few podcast interviews in the hopper, and quite a few interviews scheduled. I think it's 3 in the future. Some interesting guests coming in. We haven't had an interview exploring someone's background for some time, and I'm trying to put in place a couple of those quite often. We've had people who are kind of the more tangential skill-based podcasts of late, but I am endeavouring to get some of those. So if there's anyone out there who wants to tell us their story in project management, get in touch, podcast@nigelcreaser.com, and it'd be really great to hear from you. So let's get on with the second part of the chat with Andy and Joel.
Ultimately, I think most people are getting to be like that now. I think certainly a lot of people through COVID were like, actually spending time with my family or going for a long walk every day is far more important to me than getting promoted every 6 months.
Well, the number of people I know have started their own businesses.
Yeah.
It's because of COVID, whether they've been furloughed or not been furloughed or whatever, or considered doing it. There's lots of people doing it. My brother, Andy, you know, my brother, like he was in that same situation when he was at home and he was traveling a lot before that, and decided, well, actually, I don't want to do that traveling. Now, you've got the flip side of being a business owner, and you've got the hours you've got to work as a business owner, but there is still a level of control in there that you didn't have before, and there's pros and cons. But I've seen a lot of people taking a fresh look. It's what I call it, what I've said before now, is the sort of midlife crisis. Being in my 50s, it's kind of people look at you going midlife crisis, and I think actually what it changes to is it's not a midlife crisis. You go through life, you trying to chase something that maybe isn't something that you want. And you get to a certain point in life, start to think about mortality and start thinking, actually, am I doing the things I want to do? No. Oh, I'll start doing the things I used to enjoy when I was 20. And then you start doing those and everyone's going, oh, you're just trying to be young. Well, yeah, I just want to do what I wouldn't do the things I used to enjoy. I think we all get to that point. I think it's positive, because that sticking into a route where you're not enjoying it is never going to happen, is it?
No,
you're not happy, and you're not going to be giving your best you.
No. If you're if you're on a project and that course is changing on a regular basis, on a daily basis, you said, I think probably the chances of the right people for the job putting up with that are going to be even slimmer after COVID. Like I say, people are reevaluating stuff and to take the time to have, right, this is the project, this is how long it is, and that's broken down into bite-sized chunks, and everyone has crystal clarity on, how their boat's been built and where they're going to row it, and these are the checkpoints along the way. Just the outcome all round in terms of the results and the stakeholder buy-in is going to be immeasurably in a better place. And sometimes, sometimes obviously things have to happen quickly, but that ground, like I mentioned, that groundwork you put in at the beginning, to look at the marketing, to look at the why, how we are going to promote this to resonate with the right people. What's in it for me? And again, you're off on a good foot, because things have changed, and everyone needs to be aware of that. I'm not saying all the power is with the employee or the employer or whoever, but things have changed for everyone. It's and there's still a bit of like burying your head in the sand about it all. The COVID's still here, of course it is, but yeah, things have changed compared to 2 years ago. We've had to change our business drastically, and God, we've been saying for years the 6 words that will kill any business, any project are: we've always done it this way.
Yeah,
got to adapt. We're in Darwin's hometown. What happens if you don't adapt?
You turn into an ape. Oh no, that's not what
You're in deep shit, I think you said.
Yeah, you said you're fucked. That's what I heard him say. Yeah,
I think that's the clip notes, isn't it? On the clip notes on it, isn't it? Basically on the book.
Yeah,
on the book, that's it.
That was the alternative title to Origin of the Species. Was if you don't adapt, you're fucked.
Yeah.
He wrote that on the Beagle. I remember.
Yeah, so you must have seen that on some show on ITV, didn't you?
Side note: Harriet the tortoise that Charles Darwin met in the Galapagos Islands, I met when I went to Australia.
You're joking? How old?
Well,
not you, the tortoise.
I guess like 180 at the time, but it's since passed away.
Wow,
that's quite cool. I think.
Really... It's signature.
Did it sing to me?
Do you get his autograph?
Oh, signature. yeah. I've got it. I've got it. I was going to say paw print, but they don't have paws.
Took him 5 hours to write it.
They don't really have feet, do they? It's like
they're more like dodgy flip or something.
Oh, it's like an elephant's foot, isn't it? It's not really there. The leg just ends.
Yeah.
You know a lot about animals.
Me? Yeah. Well, my wife works in a zoo.
Is it like an elephant? The only
mammal that can't jump.
There's something to do with kneecaps.
Yeah, that's why it can't jump.
Oh, really? Oh, there we go. We're learning everything today.
Yeah.
Sharing lots of stuff with your listeners, Nigel.
I believe cows can't reverse downstairs either. That's another one.
Yeah. That was in Origin of the Species as well.
I'm sure it is. I imagine around where we are, quite a few people have tried to check that out and see if that works.
I remember. Do you remember cow tipping? Do people still do that?
I remember. Yeah.
You don't know what cow? Oh, you're from Telford, aren't you?
So like fly tipping.
Cow tipping is where if you run up to a cow and push it, it'll tip over.
Well, what kind of cruel person's going to do that?
Cow tipping is what you do when you're bored in the countryside.
Wow, I'm going to.
It's basically, if you remember Cars, with the film Cars with Mater and whatever his name is, Lightning McQueen, when they were going around in the dark, revving at the tractors they were tipping over. That was basically the same thing.
That's the joke, yeah.
Wow. One of those other awful films I had to watch with kids when they were younger. Yeah. But now I've not done stuff like Dune.
He doesn't like cartoons. He's a weird one.
Yeah, I like good cartoons.
And me.
Yeah, I can't. Even Toy Story. I'll watch them, but it's like. No. Have you seen Dune yet, Nige?
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
Well, I've been thinking I might dig out the books and reread before.
I tried as a kid, but just couldn't do it.
I love the books.
Oh really?
I thought, I still remember. I was probably teenage, sort of late teens when I was reading this.
Blimey.
Yeah.
And still haven't got round to see Bond, but then noticed on Sky last night it's coming on Sky Store today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
like unbelievable. Still at the cinema, but it's on the telly now. So whatever.
I think that's
seen Bond, seen Dune, seen Ghostbusters. What are you all messing around at?
I think the thing is there where you look at COVID and the way things are changing, and the film industry obviously is massively impacted by what's been going on there now and what's happened over the last. People have got used to, and it's been laying the tracks, I think, before COVID of consume, as I said, the way that people change consuming things, going to the cinema to watch a movie is great, it's fun, but actually, for some films, I'm quite happy to go, well, I'll watch it on telly. I don't mind watching some films. Some films you'll want to go. So I think that fact that you've got Bond coming so quickly after the cinema release onto the TV release and quite a few mutual, I think that's going to be, personally, I think that's going to be something you'll see a lot more, a lot quicker, because you're just not going to, you're going to get the drop off, aren't you? I think it's people have got out of the habit of going to the cinema.
I went to see Ghostbusters yesterday. There were 6 people in there, and that was in the middle of Glasgow. So you'd hope that would be quite busy.
Wow.
I look back and I always remember at the Oswestry Cinema back in '77, queuing around the block, all the way around, queuing to go and sit down.
And then it wouldn't be going on the telly till Christmas Day, maybe 2 years later.
Well, if that.
Yeah.
Back then, do you know what I mean? It was.
Do you remember how special it was when a film was first? Because they used to
Queen's
literally
speech,
say like BBC premiere, because it was the first time it had been shown on terrestrial TV, and it felt better on TV than it did on video or whatever. Why is
free,
that?
isn't it?
Is that what it is? Because
I think it's when we've got DVDs on that we've got. Like Hot Fuzz will come on the telly, and you'll sit there and you'll watch it on
that's what I mean.
And still go through the adverts. And I sit there going, can we just forward to where it is and just get the DVD and watch it? And it's, oh no, it don't feel the same.
It's more special on TV.
Yeah.
It's just, well, again, things change, and some people. I mean, I don't want things like the cinema to change, because that was my first love in terms of media, and when I was working at Pearl and Dean, it was. Magic, and it's.
And you're working where? Sorry, Andy.
Hey,
did you say Pearl and Dean then?
I was research manager.
Yeah.
And that was a brilliant job. I love going to the cinema. I still do. And it's just a bit sad to see that a lot of people can't be asked to go to the cinema now. Like you say, they'll just wait 2 weeks. It'll be on the telly, but that's the way it is, and we can just, as business owners, and marketers moan and bitch about it, or just say, well, that's how it is. What can we do to maximise that change in media buy-in for our customers, clients? And
I like popcorn and hot dogs.
Hot dogs. But I read now, there was some research study showed you eat a hot dog, it takes 30 minutes off your life. That's like a cigarette, isn't it?
It's like working with me.
You take a bloody years off me. So no more hot dogs. But anyway, we're really going off on a tangent now, Nigel. I'm sure you.
Yeah, that's fine. I
like management.
Rein us in.
I do like a tangent, but it's all relevant, because again, it's about what's going on in everyone's lives is affecting project delivery. What's going on in those stakeholders' lives affects delivery. Obviously, things like COVID and stuff like that, the way that things have massively changed, the hybrid working, Joel, I've talked about that, the hybrid working changes that have happened for projects. And people talk, even with HR systems, I see a lot about employee engagement conversations and about employee engagement surveys and all these sort of things, which are, again, that your employees, your project team, your biggest, the most influential stakeholders on the project. From if they do nothing, it definitely won't get done. Fair enough, you've got stakeholders that can just pull the plug on the HS2 to Leeds or whatever, but it's if everyone wants it done, those team members are the ones to get it done. And again, employee engagement is about, for me, is again about a bit of marketing in many ways as well. Is that selling why this organisation is good, why the project you're doing is going to help them, why they should, even if it doesn't help them, if it helps the overall organisation, and that loop round.
Absolutely, yeah. Marketing should, in our opinion, should always be holistic. And to think about marketing, I know I've said clarity over and over again, but that's so important. Marketing can sometimes be quite convoluted, and some marketers will find like the most jargon-filled techno-babble way to get from A to B, where it's just much more effective to draw a straight line. And you might veer left and right a little bit, but always come back to that straight line, because everyone wants clarity and simplicity. And if you need buy-in from people, from employees, from stakeholders, whoever's on the team, that clarity just can't be underestimated. Just how much easier it is, where everyone knows where they're going, and these are the checkpoints along the way. So it's like, here's the strategy and vision, and we're going to break it down into bite chunked almost game plans, which are a series of tasks, and that's laid out for people to follow, rather than like, I mean, I couldn't imagine working on something and having to chop and change every day. I mean, there's adapting, and there's just having the piss taken out of you.
Yeah, it can feel like that. Yeah, it does. But again, you lose the engagement.
Yeah, absolute engagement. That's what it's all about. Like with any team, it only takes one or two players for the end result to be totally different.
Get one fun sponge and it's game over.
Yeah,
and it just saps the energy, can't it, from a team? But again, there's external influences that sap the energy from it as well.
Yeah.
So when you're thinking of working with your clients or within your own organisation, or because obviously in my main mind, the skills of and shout me if you're not, the skills of a marketing organisation, your campaigns are projects at the end of the day, and they may be a 2-week campaign, they might be a 2-year campaign, depending on scale and customer and what you're doing and what the why is we talked about. And from your point of view, do you guys use project management methods or anything like that as a tooling, or is it kind of, you do like Andy, you just broke down something into tasks and dependencies, which is, to me, it's the bread and butter of planning and things like that. Do you guys consciously use any of those tools as part of it, or with your customers or clients?
Yeah, so we have some software called Blue, which we use for project management, and each project has a section within there, and then each section has milestones, and each milestone has tasks associated to it, and they can be assigned to an individual, they can be assigned to a group, they can be assigned to a manager, and we actively project manage every single element of our campaigns using that. It hasn't always been that way.
No.
Andy and I did a lot of it in our heads.
dangerous place to be.
We also had account managers do a lot of it in their heads, and ultimately, as is always the case with project management, if you've got somebody good and they're on it that day, you'll never beat them just getting on with it. But the problem is you can't guarantee that they're always on it, or they won't forget something, or they won't get called away, or
get hit by a bus,
there's a power cut, whatever it might be. And so you need that regimented backup, and we're so sort of thorough with it now that our apprentice could log into that system and see what our operations manager is meant to be doing, and that's fine.
Yeah, so you could have anyone on the team, sort of like, if you wanted to, right, can you make sure everything's done today, but everyone could pick any of them to do it if you chose to.
Yeah, I mean, it might, it might not be their skill set, but they would at least know what tasks need to be done on that day.
Yeah.
And our system's cool because it creates a daily to-do list for each member of the team based on what's in those things. So they can, they come in the morning and it's all there for them. There's no guesswork.
Yeah. Do you guys do any, or you adopted anything to do with the sort of the agile framework and the agile methodologies that are out there? You kind of gone, but it's kind of, it's evolved from the IT development sort of world, whether that's sort of permeated into your sort of business, because a lot of it is, some of it anyway, is driven around identifying products and delivering early value and giving products quickly.
We do daily scrums. That's sort of that kind of thing, isn't it? We've literally just started our weekly meeting to stood up now, and it half the length of the meeting. Yeah, which was quite eye-opening, wasn't it? I think we covered as much stuff, but just the sheer fact that the body language was different.
Especially if you've got painful shoes. Yeah, when I was wearing my high heels last Monday, it dragged that meeting.
But yeah, it's being able to flex within a framework as well. So in our world, an ad campaign could be running really, really well for 5 days, and then on day 6, it just goes to pieces for no reason other than it's overserved, or the audience has changed, or maybe a competitor has ploughed a load of money into a campaign, and we can't then say, well, no, our system says that we're not touching those ads today. And so there is certainly that's where the people skills have to come in, and you have to reassess the why. And we the book Eat That Frog, every member of staff has to read Eat That Frog here. So every morning in their scrum, they decide what their 3 frogs are, and if their frogs aren't done by lunchtime, which for listeners, a frog is like a priority task. So if their frogs aren't done by lunchtime, that's a big fail in our business, because if they're not, we haven't got the flexibility in the afternoons to firefight, basically, which a good project, you don't need to firefight, but ultimately there's always going to be something you've got to address. So
that's something really, really important. I mean, the book is great, really easy, quick read as well.
I just downloaded that one actually myself.
With Brian Tracy, and it's similar to a lot of what Robin Sharma says. It's about that morning thing. I'm not saying you have to join the 5 a.m. club, but own your morning, elevate your life. So those big nasty tasks you don't want to do, you just keep putting them off. That's probably human nature. Whereas no, get them done now. If I've got to eat a frog, I'll eat it first thing in the morning, and then the rest of the day will be a breeze. And that's something that the marketing that sells system that we developed, embraces systemization and automation, but it's also got to encourage flexibility and creativity amongst the team, and that mindset to what are the frogs, get them done first.
And you'll always find motivation to do the fun stuff. So it's like, if you blitz your frogs and you're feeling a bit tired in the afternoon, but then someone says, I want you to come up with some ideas for a new campaign for this chocolate bar, you're going to find the energy to do that. It's not a problem. Where if you do it the other way around and you get to the afternoon, it's like, right, I need you to look at this spreadsheet, and on this spreadsheet, you'll be able to see the profit margins for all of our clients from the last 3 months. I want you to order them in sequential order, but factoring in that I don't want any W's in there. And you ain't going to get anyone to do that at 3 p.m. in the afternoon.
I'm happy for doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem I have, if there's a spreadsheet to be done, I'll grab it and I'll do that. I'll play that. I kind of like playing with them and hacking and making pretty, and they can look very fancy and lots of pivot tables and all that. It's probably not the best use of my time half the time. So.
That's the other good thing about the frog system is you're tackling the 3 tasks that are of highest priority. So then even if you do something in the afternoon that isn't the greatest use of your time, it still ends up being a productive day.
And the flip side of that is obviously knowing your why and knowing your priorities, so that you can if you go on a task list of 100 items and you don't have an objective and a priority for what your why is personally, you can't, or organizationally, you can't actually sit there and go, well, I want this one, this one, this one.
And that's certainly where a project manager or an operations manager comes in too, because if you leave that to individuals, they will place a higher priority subconsciously on the tasks that they'd rather do.
It's natural.
The path of least resistance. And actually sometimes you just need to bite the head off the snake kind of thing and do it.
Put the world to rights today.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, it's brilliant. So, guys, thank you for that. I think it was a good discussion around that whole thing, and then I think it's the marketing side of projects. I think that how we can. There's so much similarities in there, and I think there's project management and marketing and product management and product ownership. I think there's a lot of commonality in those, and a lot of crossover. So if guys wanted to talk to you, find out more, what's the best way of 100 different ways to get onto you? So I'm sure.
No, there's only one. There's only one.
Yeah.
There's only one.
There was 100 about 2 years ago.
So visit freemarketingbook.co.uk and we will send you a free guide to the marketing that sells system. If you want, we'll post you one as well, and you'll get offered that after the first email. A few emails after that, you'll even get offered a free copy of our best-selling book. So if you want to know more about this, you want to know about lead gen for your business, that's your best way, freemarketingbook.co.uk.
Brilliant. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Cheers,
Cool.
Nigel.
One thing. Love it.
Yeah. Cheers. Thank you very much to Andy and Joel for the time on that podcast. I hope you found that really useful. We had a lovely meandering conversation around marketing. I think it's important for all of us in projects to think about the fact that our stakeholder management communications and marketing in general is about communications, and most of our project successes are related to our relationships and those communications with stakeholders, be they the team, be they the consumers, be they the people with the money and the purse strings, or be they the end customers. So thinking about how you present what your project is and what the change is essential, I think, to getting success. And sometimes thinking of it in a slightly different way, the branding, the salesy kind of marketing concept is quite a useful model to think about. So thank you to those guys, and look after yourself.
If you enjoyed the show, it would be brilliant if you would like to support it. Number of ways you can do that. Number one is sharing it with your friends and colleagues. More people who hear about it, more people get to get the experience from my fantastic guests. If you want to go a bit more than that, you could jump onto wherever you listen to this and give me a review. 5 stars would be lovely. And if you want to look at throwing some cash towards me, there are a number of ways you can do that. You can pop along to the Patreon/SundayLunchPM there, or you could grab one of the books that I've published over the years and obviously get a little bit of cash from those. On the website, under the shop, under the shop, I've got links to all of my previous guests' books, and Andy and Joel's is on there. And if you jump along to there, you can buy a copy of their books, and I get a little kickback from that too. And obviously, with our new headline sponsor of Tamplo, popping along, signing up, and if you end up using it, I will get a kickback there as well. So finally, obviously, as I say every time, the most important thing though is come back next time. I'll speak to you soon. Cheers.
Remember, if you want better meetings and better task follow-up, Tamplo's where to get it. Don't forget your 1-month trial, tinyurl.com/Nigel Creaser Tamplo. That's NIGELCREASER Tamplo.
Well, it's goodbye from me, Nigel Creaser, and it's goodbye from him, the Sunday Lunch PM. Goodbye.